Oh, it's funny, to do one of these videos because I don't know what you look like or what you're thinking when I'm talking, but um, I'm going to do this video on dogs and horses. And the reason I'm doing it is it's something I'm putting together in my mind, and so I'm doing this video to share. But first of all, dogs and horses. My crow name came from an experience my uncle had with in the war, and so he called me captures many enemy horses, Igili in Tudish. Now there was an argument on how to say that, and so I'm just going on what I was told. And then yeah, so horses. I wasn't here when we first encountered the horse. I wasn't here definitely when we, as indigenous people of North America, encountered the dog, which must be an older story. Indigenous people worldwide have had a relationship with a dog way back, as well as a horse. And what I wanted to talk about was something that I thought about as I studied these things in my old age, because that's not what we, that's what we end up doing. But, the predicament that the human being had was that there was a relationship made with the dog at first. It was one of the original helpers in transporting different things. And that's something I'm just assuming from what I've been taught by the colonialized study of the Americas and peopling. I'm assuming, and that's a dangerous thing because, we don't know the truth about exactly how indigenous people of North America came to have a dog. Now, there's a lot of people who have stories, and I don't know those stories, and I wouldn't share them, but I'm sure that there are many, many, many people who have many, many stories on how we came upon the dog or the dog came upon us. But the point is that there was a relationship with the dog that predated the relationship with the horse. And so when you come to looking at the dog and our relationship as human beings, we sort of sold the dog out when we met the horse. And when we met the horse, we just fell in love with the horse. The horse is just beautiful. The structure of the horse and just the way it moves. But until then, the structure of the dog did the same. And how they moved and how they hunted. And we were related to them. The horse, on the other hand, set us free in motion to move more longer distances, farther distances, and how it completely changed our looking at the resources because the horse had to eat. Now a dog could eat exactly what we ate, so that wasn't an extra piece of knowledge of agriculture. But as soon as the horse was introduced, we had to learn about green grass and what would a horse eat in the wintertime. Now Hollywood has given us quite a few motion pictures about encounters, indigenous people's encounters with dogs. Could be, I don't know. I would just think that their paths, the dog and the human being's paths, they crossed at some point and may have actually come to a point of where they were on the same team against something like a bear or some kind of monster that I don't know anything about. But tribally, as the tribes introduced the horse, the change of culture, being able to move farther and hunt differently, changed the hunting practices, completely changed the hunting practices. And Hollywood has done so much damage to that image that it's hard to repair, because as soon as we say horse and an Indian, you see this man or this woman, whichever in your stereotype colonial mind comes up with an image and says, well, there it is, stampeding across the prairie. I don't know if that was true. I don't know if those things ever actually happened. My aunt, who would have been well over 100 today, she told me that she would ride a horse all day to go and find the horse out pasture that she actually wanted to ride. So that was the love of, in my family, that sort of shows the love of the nature of the horse to the human being. There's a moment, too, of realization that isn't taught and isn't talked about, is it that our relationship with the horse increased the movement of smallpox across the country. It made it travel farther. With our relationship with the dog, the dog, was really left to manage on its own, in a sense. I think what I'm getting at here is that the relationship to the dog, for a man to the dog's perception, it decreased, and the perception of the dog, of man to horse, the love for the horse increased beyond what it was for the dog. Now, if you're looking at helpers and spiritual helpers, boy, we really have trashed the dog, because so often when I was young and I was starting to, clean up from alcohol, I would often heard the story about the white dog and the black dog. That's not an Indian story. That's a Christian story. I think it may have came from AA. It was a good story for people to kind of get in their minds, but in a sense it was a bad story, because it put dogs on the same level as evil or bad, and that wasn't the case. We don't have a dog fight inside of us. We have a human being fight within us. We shouldn't blame the dog. And I think that's got us into trouble in a lot of sense for making good medicine with the dog. So that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about the dogs and the horses. I love to see the horses run, but I would prefer to have a dog beside me. The loyalty is unbreakable. So that's my talk about the dogs and the horses. If you have a mind to, look into histories and find out. This isn't a time, it seems like, that we really want to share truth, but please try to investigate the truth as far as you can. And thanks. We'll catch up with you. That was, the talk on dogs and horses. It's, yeah.